I'd like to call this meeting to order of the House Professional Licensure Committee. We're going to have members in and out because of various committee meetings, and we have members online joining us as well. The purpose of this informational meeting is to hear from the Department of State to provide general overview of licensing in Pennsylvania, offer updates on new initiatives, and explain generally the complaint and enforcement process for professional and occupations related to the department. We'll be hearing from Acting Commissioner Aaron Claggett and Director of Bureau Enforcement Investigation, Michael Rosenberry. I'd ask members, we're going to hold questions till the end since members will be coming in and out. And if you have any comments?
Nope, I just want to say thank you for coming today and providing your testimony and taking questions from the members. So thank you very much. We look forward to it.
And I'd also like to thank the Department of State. I know we have a good relationship with both staffs of our committee here, and I appreciate you getting back to us in a timely manner and coming here today to testify. Of the members who are here in person, we'll...
Arvind Venkat, 30th Legislative District in Allegheny County.
Representative Steve Malagary, Montgomery County, 53rd District.
Obviously, I'm Representative Frank Burns.
Representative Joe Emmerich, and joining us is Representative Gatos.
And if the members online could introduce themselves.
State Representative Casey Tomlinson.
Well, we have a few more online. I guess they're muted. So if you're ready to begin, we're ready to hear what you have to say.
Making sure the mic is on here. Wonderful. Okay. Well, again, my name is Ariane Claggett. I am the Acting Commissioner for the Bureau of Professional and Occupational Affairs. Today, I am joined with Mike Rosenberry. He's the Director of the Bureau of Enforcement Investigations, also known as BEI. Today on the agenda, we're going to talk about BPOA overview, applications, licensure compacts, licensure modernization, licensure fees, the disciplinary process, sunrise evaluation, the regulatory process, and then jump into some questions and answers. As far as the BPOA overview, BPOA was established in 1963 as part of the Department of State to provide administrative, logistical, and legal support to professional and occupational licensing boards and commissions. Professional licensing protects the health, safety, and welfare of the public from incompetent, fraudulent, and unethical practitioners. There are 29 licensing boards and commissions, each with its own statute governing powers and functions. The major functions of BPOA are to protect the public, review applications for licenses and to ensure applicants meet statutory requirements, issue individual and facility licenses, approve nursing education programs, approve and adopt written practical licensure examinations, certify providers of education, administer public board meetings, and promulgate regulations. Now I just want to move on to an overview of our functional areas. As far as the Commissioner's office, that's my office. That office consists of myself, who I oversee everything, all operations in BPOA. I have a Deputy Commissioner who oversees HR and staffing issues. I also have a Director of Operations that ensures that we're streamlining everything to make sure everything is the same. In addition to a Director of Operations, I have Program Analysts. They serve as the liaison between my staff and the IT vendor. I also have Quality Assurance Analysts. The Quality Assurance Analysts run our, they listen to phone calls. They review all the phone calls of all the staff that we have. In addition to that, I also have a Commissioner's Liaison that kind of catches everything in between. As far as the areas underneath me as well, we have a PHMP, Professional Health Monitoring Program. a health licensing division, medical osteo and podiatry division, real estate licensing division, nurse licensing division, and a business licensing division. Those divisions I mentioned all are staffed by a division chief, a board administrator, clerical staff, and clerical supervisors. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry. Starting with PHMP. The Professional Health Monitoring Program provides a method by which Commonwealth licensed healthcare professionals suffering from physical and mental impairment, such as substance or use disorder, can be directed to the appropriate treatment and receive monitoring to ensure that they remain capable of safely practicing their licensed profession. PHMP is comprised of two programs: the Voluntary Recovery Program, which is known as VRP, and the Disciplinary Monitoring Unit, which is known as the DMU. We also have a Business Licensing Division. The Business Licensing Division holds the following boards: accountancy, architects, auctioneer examiners, barbers, real estate appraisers, cosmetologists, crane operators, engineers, land surveyors, funeral directors, landscape architects, and the Navigation Commission. The largest board within the Business Licensing Division is our cosmetologists. They have about 127,000 licensees. Our smallest board is the Navigation Commission. On to the Health Licensing Division. We have chiropractors, dentists, massage therapists, nursing home administrators, occupational therapists, optometrists, pharmacists, physical therapists, psychologists, social workers, speech-language pathologists, and vet medicine. Our largest board here is pharmacy with about 46,000 licensees. Our smallest board is nursing home administrators. We also have the medical, osteopathic medicine, and podiatry division, with medicine being our largest population of 112 licensees, with podiatry being our smallest with about 1,200. We also have the real estate vehicle licensing division or commission. The real estate commission has about 67,000 licensees, and the vehicle board has about 42,000. And last but not least, we have our nurse licensing division. This is our biggest board and division. There's 340,000 licensees within the nurse licensing division. Now, the nurse licensing division is probably our most talked about division, but I wanted to share with you today that since the beginning of when I started here, our processing time in the nurse licensing division was about 90 days processing applications. We've gotten that processing time down to 6 days for processing a license. Some of the things that we've done in order to speed up processing is we automated a few things. We've automated our authorization to test. Authorization to test are when nursing applicants come before the board, they apply, and they have to come for us to get an ATT, as it's called, before they can take their test. That was a manual process before, and we automated it, which we've taken the time to do that from 6 weeks down to 1 day to process ATTs. A similar process we have to ATTs is also the nurse temporary practice permit. It was the same thing, which was a manual process, which has now been automated, and it went again from 6 weeks to process a temporary practice permit down to 1 day. Some other things we did to improve processing times for the nurse board is we opened a Pittsburgh call center. It was piloted in 2024. It was staffed with 6 clerical employees and a supervisor, and these folks were 100% dedicated to only taking nurse board calls. The reason for the change is because when we dedicated all phone calls to this board or to this pilot program, the folks who were in Harrisburg could now be taken off of phone calls and spend their time processing applications. As a result of this improvement, we're going to make this pilot program permanent. But again, this call center is only for the nursing board at this time. I also wanted to provide some stats on what we've seen across the board as we, at the nursing board, when we implemented this pilot program. From November 2023 to November 2023, the total calls received were about 7,000. Our abandonment rate was 24%. Our average wait time was 14 minutes, and our longest wait time was 3 hours. Fast forwarding to a year later, with the call center in place, at the same time frame, we received about 6,000 calls. Our abandonment rate dropped to 1%. Our average wait time was 1 minute, and our longest wait time was down to 21 minutes. And as I'm wrapping up talking about the boards, I just want to highlight some of the processing times that we've seen that decreased over time. As you see, real estate brokers in 2023 were about 13 days processing. Now fast forward to 2025, we're at 1 day. Vehicle dealer, we started at 10 days, down to 1 day. Pharmacist, 26 days, down to 4 days. Dentist, 27 days, down to 14 days processing. Doctors, U.S. graduates, 43 days, down to 9 days. Cosmetology salons, 15 days down to 1, and barbershops, 12 days down to 1 day. In addition to the boards and the staff that I had just mentioned, I also oversee the licensing boards. There's a distinction between the two. We have licensing board staff who process the licenses, and then we also have board members. So the board members fall in the buckets here. We have public members, professional members, and ex officio members. So a public member would be someone who doesn't have a connection to the profession of the board. A professional member would be someone that, like say for the medical board, it would be a doctor. An ex officio member would be someone like the Secretary of Health who sits on the medical board. These board meetings occur about every 6 weeks. These meetings are offered in a hybrid format, so they're offered in person at 2525 North 7th Street and offered through Teams. Now I want to talk a little bit about applications. I wanted to show you what an applicant sees when they come to the PALS licensure website when they want to request licensure. There's an application checklist that all applicants can review. The application checklist spells out every item that's required for the applicant to get their license processed. As you can see here on the form, there's an application fee, child abuse, data bank report, education verification, an FBI check, a letter of good standing, medical or malpractice insurance, and a national examination. For the license I'm referencing, this would be a chiropractor examination license. The next page highlights what our staff see internally and what the applicant sees. This page shows that the checklist items are corresponding. So what was in the checklist corresponds to what's seen in the application. This was a recent change that we made to assist with processing times because this workflow was kind of clunky in the past, and changing the workflow allowed staff to process license faster and also gave the applicants a better idea of what the license process looks like. Oh, let me go back a page. Also, in this, the life of the application, as you can see, some of the icons. So as the application comes in, items are submitted, there's a status next to each item showing pending review. Pending review means that the item was submitted to the board. As you go down, there's another status that says completed. That means that the item was completed and reviewed. As you go down further, you'll see some that show not received. That means the item hasn't come in yet. As we go through the applications, and there's sometimes when there are items missing, the way we reach out to applicants is we send them a discrepancy notice. The next image is an actual discrepancy notice. So the applicant gets an email stating what item is missing for them to fulfill their licensure. Once all items are received, then we issue the license. The next screenshot is a screenshot of a printed license. Now, we've changed this recently. In the past, we've had some complaints about the license blue paper. Some folks said that the blue paper was unappealing. There were complaints that folks couldn't print out their own license, and there were complaints about fraud. So we've changed it now that applicants or licensees can print out their own license and any paper that they want. They no longer have to contact us and pay a $5 duplicate license fee to have it printed. We also added a Scantron or a scan QR code to the license to confirm authenticity. So now when they scan this QR code, it links it to the PALS Verify website, and it will show you whether the license is active or not. I also wanted to spend a few minutes talking about licensure compacts. I put a good bit of items on this slide, but basically we have the final approval to implement licensure compacts. We are tentatively scheduled to implement the compacts in June of 2025. I also wanted to highlight that while we were waiting on the finals approval to implement the compacts, we did have partial implementation for the nurse compact and the medical compact. Partial implementation for the nurse compact started in 2023, and partial implementation started for the medical compact in 2024. Now, we don't have a mechanism to track the out-of-state nurses that came in for the partial implementation of the nurse compact, but we do for the medical and osteopathic compact. So as of March 2025, we had 715 licensees that participated in the partial implementation of the medical compact, and we had 134 licensees for the osteopathic medicine compact since March of 2025. Next, on to licensure modernization. I wanted to make you all aware that Systems Automation was chosen as our new vendor. The new licensing platform is called Evoke. Currently, we are in the requirements and discovery meetings phase. So basically now we're just kind of mapping out all the boards and re-engineering our process as we move into the new licensure system. The implementation for the new licensure system is broken into two phases. There's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, which is slated for spring of 26, will include 11 boards. Phase 2, slated for the second half of 2026, will include the remaining 18 boards. Next, on to licensure fees. BPOA is entirely self-funded. The Bureau receives no funding from the general fund. The General Assembly authorizes the boards to spend the funding in the Professional Licensure Augmentation Account. BPOA ensures that licensed professionals provide high-quality and safe services for both initial licensure for practice and enforced standards. In order to provide this service, it is necessary for the Bureau to employ over 350 staff members to work toward this effort. These individuals include division staff who process initial license paperwork, renewals, revenue accounting, enforcement investigations, and legal work, including prosecution, board or commission counsel representation, and hearing examiners. Every Practice Act mandates that the board and commissions must adopt fees by regulation to cover their operating costs. All initial licensure application fees are reviewed to ensure the proposed fee covers the cost to conduct business. All fees are graduated over the course of 3 biennial renewal periods to cover potential fluctuations in cost for the board. The disciplinary process. The Bureau of Enforcement Investigation, BEI, conducts investigations on behalf of the boards and commissions and conducts facility inspections and enforcement actions, including the issuance of citations. BEI has 4 regional offices across the state located in Harrisburg, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Scranton. Complaints can be initiated by members of the public, licensees, board or commission members, board or commission staff, competitor complaints, and other state licensing boards, media information, and law enforcement. When a complaint requires an investigation, BEI interviews witnesses, obtains documents, and collects evidence related to the allegation made in the complaint. Mike, I'll pass it on to you.
Sure. Good morning. I am Mike Rosenberry. I'm the director of BEI. BEI is staffed with 144 total personnel statewide in these 4 regional offices that were mentioned. With investigations, our professional conduct investigators, or the investigators, are mostly, if not the majority of, a large number are retired law enforcement like myself. We're also civil service positions, so they're also filled by a high number of veterans. BEI investigates the allegations of professional misconduct by licensees such as, but not limited to, negligence, malpractice, incompetence, fraud, sexual misconduct, pharmaceutical drug diversion, substance abuse. We also investigate allegations of the unlicensed practice of the regulated professions. The investigative findings are presented to the appropriate prosecuting attorney for the determination of what, if any, legal action is appropriate. Our investigators simply conduct interviews of the complainants, respondents, witnesses, gather evidence and documents, and provide that to the prosecuting attorney. Our investigators last year, in calendar year 2024, conducted 7,721 investigative assignments. These were conducted by a total of 74 investigators that are located throughout those 4 regional offices. For inspections, our inspectors are the regulatory enforcement inspectors, conduct new business, routine, and unannounced compliance inspections of several licensed professional facilities as authorized by several professional licensing statutes. In some cases, minor violations, a warning may be issued with a 30-day follow-up inspection. For a failure, it would be within 60 days that business is re-inspected. For more serious, yet serious or relatively minor instances of violations, citations are issued. They're not issued on site. If a citation is to be issued, there's a 2-tier approval process within BEI from the inspector. That citation would be approved by a supervisor and a regional director before the citation is ultimately sent out. There are a total of 35 inspectors statewide. 25 of those are regulatory enforcement inspectors. We also have 4 mortuary inspectors, 1 in each region. Those mortuary inspectors are licensed funeral directors for an extended period of time, actually 10 years, before they're able to be hired as a mortuary inspector with BEI. We also have 6 drug program specialists or pharmacy inspectors statewide, and those pharmacy inspectors are licensed pharmacists before they can be hired as an inspector with BEI, for a total of 35 statewide. BEI conducted 29,264 new business directed and routine inspections for facilities in calendar year 2024. I would also note that in calendar year 2024, the average elapsed days or wait time for a new business or directed inspection was less than 4 days for that inspection. I think the graphic that's being shown is just showing the number of inspections per year. Can't even see. That also includes the total number of inspections and closed investigations per calendar year from 2020 to 2024. You can see the increase over those 5 years. Actually, you could go back 8 years or 9 years, and there's been that same increase every year.
What's the cause of the increase?
I think part of the cause for the increase is there's more licensees than what there were, but I also think that because the complaints are actually investigated thoroughly, every complaint that comes in, I think there's more of a tendency to file complaints because people believe that there is going to be something done about it whenever it happens. Good, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And on to sunrise evaluations. While the decision whether to regulate a profession is ultimately left to the General Assembly and the governor, groups seeking licensure certification, either with a new or existing board, are invited to submit a sunrise application to DOS Office of Policy. The DOS Policy Office then reviews the application, conducts an independent research, and completes analysis with recommendation. An evaluative report recommending for or against licensure is then forwarded to the Secretary of the Commonwealth and the Secretary of Policy and Planning for the final review. Proponents are subsequently notified of the administration's position. The sunrise evaluation criteria consist of the following: a compelling state or public interest for the regulation or licensing. Is the licensing necessary to protect the health and safety or welfare? No other reasonable, less restrictive means of regulating the practice exists. The licensing will not create any undue barriers or entry into the practice of the profession or occupation or adversely affect the ability of services to the consumer. The profession is united behind the idea of licensure. A significant number of professionals will be licensed to ensure a reasonable cost to each. The regulatory process. Each year, licensing boards and commissions in the Bureau propose and adopt numerous regulations and amendments to the current regulations. In 2024, BPOA delivered a total of 23 regulations to the Independent Regulatory Review Committee. This is 47% of all regulations published by the Commonwealth agencies for the year. Some regulations, such as those requiring fees for examination and renewals, are required by statute. In other instances, boards make changes to long-standing policy or wish to enact new standards of professional conduct for licensees. Whether a new regulation or changes to existing regulations are necessary, all proposed rulemaking of the boards must be adopted under the established process in the Regulatory Review Act. How do boards adopt regulations? Before drafting regulations, the agency undertakes extensive public outreach to those who will most likely be affected by the regulation. Each regulation contains a brief preamble written in clear and concise language describing the public need for the regulation, what the regulation requires in legal and practical terms, and who the regulation will likely affect. And in the end, I'd like to conclude my presentation with our national ranking. In 2023, Pennsylvania ranked in the bottom of the Arch Bridge Institute's State Occupational Licensing Index. In 2024, the Commonwealth ranked in the top 10 of the least burdensome states to obtain an occupational license. And that today concludes my report. Mike and I will entertain any questions that you have today.
Thank you very much for providing this information to us. I do have a few questions. I'll start, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the members. What professions have submitted for a sunrise evaluation and have received a recommendation in recent years, if any?
I don't have the list of those professions in front of me, but I can follow up with you with that list.
Sure, thank you. Because, we look to try to pass legislation that could help Pennsylvanians, and if there are sunrise evaluations out there that have sought approval and been approved, we would like to take a look at that and see if there's something we can act on. Also, in that same realm, are there any barriers to to licensure that you feel the legislature could address to help alleviate some of the process that you guys face?
No, I would have to follow up with you on barriers to licensure after this meeting.
Okay, one last one. Is there any professions that the department would like to see de-licensed?
We are currently working on a list that to provide to this committee to show you, but we haven't compiled the list yet. That is in process.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there any other questions? Representative Emmerich?
Thank you. Just one real quick question. So I didn't want to ask during your presentation, when you were talking about the call centers and the calls, there was a statistic called was it abandonment rate? Or
Yes,
What is that exactly?
when the phone call is not answered.
Okay, so it just, for whatever reason.
So for whatever reason,
It
they were
gets
on hold
dropped
too
or-
long, and
Okay.
the caller hung up.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you. I was just curious. That's what we thought, but I wasn't sure. My second question is specific to the nurse licensing compact. So we got great news
Yes, sir.
recently from Washington and the FBI. So when they say June, do we think that the nurse compact will be fully implemented in Pennsylvania and nurses can secure their compact license and be able to go anywhere or come into Pennsylvania to work? Do we think it'll be fully complete by June?
Yes,
or-
we do, fully complete by June.
Okay. And so the process for a nurse to apply for the nurse compact would be the same as if they were applying for their PA license?
Correct.
Or-
It'd be similar, but not exactly the same, because it'll be compact rules.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
we-
but following the compact itself?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. I mean, I know a lot of people have been waiting for that. We've been waiting for a long time. I want to thank you for working with the General Assembly for the last few years to get this done. And it's really important knowing the shortage of healthcare workers we have, especially nurses in Pennsylvania. And that's just fantastic news. So that was my second question. So I have one more question for you. So sometimes we get complaints, obviously.
Sure.
We are the face of government as state representatives about businesses being inspected. Sometimes there are concerns about training of the inspectors, their knowledge of that specific industry. Can you explain the type of training that the inspectors go through when it comes to, I mean, because there's, as you know, from your presentation, there's obviously a long list of specialty areas that inspectors would need to be well-versed in. So do you have a specific training regimen for inspectors who go into a cosmetology salon or any other business?
Sure.
So we do, actually. Every new hire goes through a field training program where they have to, they're trained on the individual regulations for each board. They also have to show proficiency in each of those boards prior to going out and inspecting. A lot of the people, especially for the inspectors, may actually come from that industry, from the industry as well. So once they're properly trained in-house, then they do some field training with other inspectors, the inspector supervisor, and they'll go out and actually demonstrate their proficiency with somebody before. We also do ongoing training with the prosecutors that are our partners in this. Our prosecutors have put on training over the last several years on every board that there's been any question on, specifically for inspectors, but also for an investigator as well. We've done ongoing training. I think we had 2 years ago, maybe, when I know med spas are a hot topic, and we've gotten a lot of questions on those. So in addition to having the training 2 years ago, we just put everybody through retraining. That was conducted for everybody in BEI the end of March. So it's ongoing training.
Okay. Do they have generally have a specific checklist that they take with them? Or is it
Absolutely.
different? Okay.
Absolutely. So Our inspectors, whenever they go out, they operate off a tablet. And that tablet, whenever they bring up that particular business that they're doing an inspection for, they'll verify that they're at the right location. They'll verify what type of inspection is done. Whenever they walk in and they start that inspection, there's a checklist. And that checklist is basically, an inspection is a snapshot in time. They walk in at that particular time. Is this establishment, whatever it is, meeting the regs as they should? So if it's a car dealership, that checklist is different from a cosmetology salon. So it's specific to that type of business. It is a checklist that they go through on their tablet, and if they meet that requirement, they hit a green check mark. If they don't, they get a red X. If the inspector has a question what that regulation is, there's a question mark, and it brings up the regs on that particular question. So it is pretty cut and dry as far as what the requirements are for that particular business.
Okay. This is actually my last question. So, when you tabulate your yearly number of inspections conducted based on complaints, do you find that a certain percentage of them, the majority, I'm not sure how you would answer, but are frivolous complaints or legitimate complaints, or like are most of them a disgruntled customer based on their experience with that business, or are there a lot of complaints that require prosecution, things?
I don't know what the percentage would be. Whenever a complaint comes in, it comes through our legal department, through a professional conduct office. So there are some complaints that come through that the majority of them actually never make it to BEI. So they'll look at it and see, is this person complaining because they want a refund? Well, that's not something that we deal with. So those are weeded out prior to when they get to us. Whenever they're assigned to us, we investigate every complaint that comes through. And again, the determination then is made by legal what action happens with the facts that were gathered.
Okay. Yeah, that actually answered my question. So you have a process that kind of weeds out the frivolous complaints because somebody wanted a refund or?
Correct, before it comes to us.
Yeah, before it comes through. Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Next question, Representative Venkat.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for all the work from the Department of State to get the compacts operationalized starting in June. I know that's something that has bipartisan consensus and applause. So 2 questions for you. One is related to compacts. There's obviously a number of compact proposals that are before our committee, and we haven't voted on them because of the delays in implementation of compacts. Are there any of the interstate compacts that we are not part of now that you, as the Department of State, feel should be a priority? And if so, how are you judging that?
Well, I would ask that all the compacts that we are not currently a part of actually be put on hold for a minute, because at this point, we don't want to add more compacts into our new licensure system replacement. So if any other compacts are passed, they would be delayed before they could be implemented.
I'm sorry, I lost you at the end there. About how long would that delay, would you suggest that delay?
And we could wait until, if we could wait until the new licensure system is implemented.
So 2026?
2026.
Okay. The second question I have is related to separate legislation from Representative Greiner on advisory opinions from the Department of State. I know this has been a discussion for a number of years, and we talked about this at this same hearing in the last session. Where is the Department of State now on that legislation and their position on whether we should move forward or not?
So again, we're happy to work with you and anyone about a way to make that available to the public, advisory opinions. But what we're doing right now is the consent agreements that come before the board. If there's ever anything that's prohibited or anything like that, the most commonly, most frequent prohibited items, we're making a list and putting that on our board websites for people to see that list, to assist in the questions that we get that would be similar to advisory opinions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Seeing no further questions, I want to thank you for your testimony. I want to thank you for streamlining the process. You've really showed us the progress you made in the past couple years at getting people their licenses in record time. So thank you for that. I'm sure everyone in Pennsylvania that has a professional license appreciates that. Again, I look forward to working with you guys as these compacts move forward and getting that implemented as quickly as possible. I know a lot of the members here have concerns over these compacts. They've been coming to my office for quite some time to get this done, and I'm hoping we can do this as quickly as possible. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.